when I was asked to give a talk today, what should we talk about and what should we think about? And by looking around and thinking of all the devotees of Samata Samashti Dharma, even in India, I realised that mantra was perhaps the most important thing I could talk to you about and explain to you a little bit about the mantra. So I wrote some notes on it, and just in case I forgot something, we've had a very tough week. We've just been working 7 days with our new group of instructors for Samadhi Yoga, and let me tell you, I'm sorry to say, you other instructors, they're perhaps the best group that I've ever taught. And that's thank you to their instructors too for preparing them properly for what I needed to teach them. So it was a very big thank you to Kailash, who did all of the cooking and preparing as Guru Seva, and Maya, who came down to help me with the teaching, although they both did that, and Murugan, who was helpful as well, thank you. The only man in the place for quite a while, and thank you also to Shankara, who came also and helped me. Well, all of you in this room have received a mantra from me. The mantra is a mystic formula. It is a sound, a syllable, a word or a phrase containing special powers. When we talk about the mantra, we're not playing games here. It is one of the most important pieces of vibration that will ever be bestowed upon you. Mantras are chanted aloud to create a force field. Did you realise that? When you're alone, when you chant your mantra loudly to yourself, it will create a force field of huge magnitude and power. Or it can be repeated within, which will quieten and harmonise the mind. It will also balance all the subtle bodies within you. So this is a vibration that resonates from outside, inside, inside, outside. It will allow your inner bodies to be calmed and purified with the subtle emanations of the inner mantra. This, I think, is one of the most powerful ways of repeating your mantra. The mantra is bestowed by an initiated master who has been entrusted with the responsibilities and the powerful mysteries which must be performed when bestowing such a mantra. Given otherwise, the mantra has no power and is useless, and it can also work in the opposite to what it is meant to do. There are only a few mantras in the world, a few mantras in the universe. The power and selection are up to the bestower, who works in accordance with the universal laws and cannot and will not go against them. Some of you see me sometimes as laughing, joking. You see me as different people. But beneath all of that, I am an initiated master of my lineage. I'm the physical personification of my masters. And I will never, never, never disobey the laws. Usually when one comes forward for initiation, a lot of work and energy goes on behind the scenes. Actually, the bestower must work within the laws of karma to modify the vibration of the aspirant so that they are able to receive the vibration of the mantra in what I always seem to call the embryo form. The vibration is different for all aspirants, although the mantra or words may be the same. When the aspirant's vibration is ready, the initiation ceremony where the mantra can be given is ready. I think of all of you. I think all of you can look back now and understand the feelings and the emotional disturbances you had before initiation. And those emotions and feelings that you had leading up to that ceremony. And I would like you today, and perhaps in moments of quietness, to reflect on those feelings and emotions and the enormous effort and work that went on behind the scenes. The work of the aspirant begins in earnest once the mantra has been bestowed. Your job is to accept the mantra and the significance of the act and allow the mantra to grow and become strong enough to change your entire destiny. Take a seat. A lot of you don't realise that when you receive the mantra, this great, great gift is given to you, and it is normally given at exactly the right time when you are ready for it in all of your evolution. The mantra must be used in different ways, aloud, as japa, and quietly with the breath to enhance and, if necessary, change the vibration of the breath to allow the body, mind and deeper conscious levels to come into harmony so that the soul state can begin to wake up and take control. Only then can the ego be quietening down and the essence of the ego, the I-ness, begins to develop. This is not today the mantra, tomorrow my realised being. It takes years and years and a lot of hard work, perseverance, self-discipline and above all humility is required. It is irrelevant to say, I want to help the guru, I want to help the yoga, because realistically speaking, you're not worth it until your vibration is of a certain subtleness. Before that, you're playing at being God. And the only time when your vibration is worth it is because you no longer need to be. People think it's easy being the guru, but I can assure you it definitely is not. It is difficult and requires huge amounts of self-discipline and denial. Constantly dealing with people's immature egos with love and compassion, and most of all, dispassion. All I can ask of you is to continue to care for your mantra, because one day it must become part of you. It is the part of the Guru's power and grace that will allow you one day to go home and meet yourself. And once you have met yourself, that self must ultimately merge in the ocean of Satchitananda. I believe that most of you, having received your mantras, have thought, that's it, that's the end. No, it's not. And you look at me and say, look at her, she's got it all, she's done it. Well, the denial, self-discipline and humility is absolutely extreme to sit here.
Now I've got to follow that, and I've got a lump in my throat the size of a flower.
Would you like a little bit?
Thank you for that. We're doing a workshop today. We're ahead of time, but that's fine. And the workshop is, what does the mantra mean to me? And as soon as I heard that that was a subject for today, I got permission from Swami to relate an experience that I had that was life-changing but not permanent. It was When I say not permanent, that's because I'm like a lot of you. I've followed the path and gone off it a wee bit and come back and gone off it and come back again. My mantra was given to me by Swami a little bit differently from the rest of you because it was a long time ago. And I remember sitting in class in Turak one time or waiting for others to join us. And Swami just said, "Would you like a mantra?" And I went, "Oh, that sounds good." yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll have it. Yeah, fine. Very offhand, only realising now that I was to meet her in India. And that was probably why she gave me the mantra at that particular time. This is more than 10 years ago and a bit thick, still thick today. And the trip to India on its own was astounding. My daughter had become a flight attendant and I had just learnt that I could be due for some sort of discount if I did some travel. And I thought, oh, well, where will I go to? I had no desires. I'd come from Scotland when I was 12 years old and I hadn't travelled anywhere until then. And Swami said to me another night, "Do you want to come to India with me?" And I went, "Oh, I thought about India. Oh, I suppose I could keep a fare, but I haven't any money." And then I had another friend who was going to India and had a third friend who was actually living in India. And my daughter was moving to Hong Kong. So I thought, well, if I had the money, I could combine all of that. On inquiry, I found that my mortgage repayments were in advance by exactly the amount that the fare cost me. Exactly to the dollar. So of course off we went. Had my first visit to India. Went up to Ladakh with friend number 1 and had a wonderful time there. Came back to Delhi, met friend number 2, who was my beloved Swami, and we met lots of wonderful people, and that was what remains with me to this day, is the people, the memory of those lovely, smiling, beautiful, warm people. But we had a bit of a good time, until I got homesick. I was missing my daughter and my granddaughter. So we had the experience of going to the Air India office and being treated like 2 dumb females, because females can't make a decision without a man with them. And it was such a lovely experience. The guy would say, "Well, what about this flight?" And then he'd go away and he'd be looking at something or other and expecting that he and I would be discussing all the means of whether we should take that flight or not knowing what it was. We finally got a flight that I left Delhi earlier. So off I went, by Swami, on the plane to Bombay. Arrived at Bombay in the dark, knew I had to get a taxi to go to Ganeshpuri, which is, you've all probably heard of Ganeshpuri, but I had a friend who was living there. Being forgotten, Guru Maya, isn't it? Yeah, that's where she had her ashram. They said, no, you can't get in taxi until daylight. And I thought, oh, well, all right then. And there was a lot of toing and froing and a lot of carry-on. As soon as daylight came, the trucks on the road were unbelievable, just bumper to bumper. And apparently they had been like that all night, but no one had any headlights that they used in India. So that's why Westerners were told to stay off the road at night time. So eventually this taxi driver came. He looked about 12 years old. He was probably 13 now that I reflect on it. And I just thought, oh, okay, all I wanted to do was get to Ganeshpuri, get that visit over with so I could go to Hong Kong and see my daughter and my granddaughter, you see. So we get in this taxi. I've got one suitcase. The window of the taxi would not close. Well, so I had to hold that up and to keep the smell and the beggars away from me, from Bombay. I've got the suitcase sitting next to me, and I'm sitting up there probably looking like a Maharaja myself, you know, in this case. And this young boy takes off. and I asked if he knew where he was going. He had no idea what I was saying. But every time we went to a town or a border, he stopped the cab and he got out, and I realised later it was two police, and he went round the back of the cab, he was obviously paying them for permission to keep going. Well, when I saw the look that these policemen were giving me, because being well endowed, I obviously looked like I was very rich, I got so fearful, so fearful. And I suddenly thought, the mantra, the mantra. Yeah, I was sitting there holding the window, and that's all I did for the rest of that 2-hour journey, with 2.5 hours altogether. Just repeated the mantra, and we had times when the young driver would get sick of being behind the trucks and he would overtake, and there'd be another truck coming and he would just sit there and go, ah! And the car would just be heading towards his truck. It was just an experience that I will never ever forget. It was totally terrifying. He did get me to Gurumai. We had no toilet stops or anything like that. It was just a matter of holding the case and holding the window. Went into Ganesh Puri, left him there, didn't have any idea, didn't care where he was going. I was so traumatised. And I arrived in the reception hall at 9:30. We'd left just after 6 o'clock in the morning from Bombay. It's only about an hour trip normally, but in India it takes 3 times longer. And I found out later that Swami was giving a yoga class to some of the ladies from Delhi. And at 9:30 she said, oh, Anna's safe now. So I didn't know that. I've got goosebumps just remembering that. I didn't know. All I knew was that I'd preoccupied my mind with the mantra, so that got me over the fear. That was my logical, decision. That was how it all worked, until I heard that she had absolutely been with me that whole journey. And I can't imagine what it would have been like for her, knowing that I was going through that fearful time and trying to appear like the normal Swami she can be to the rest of the class. So the subject of today's workshop, what does the mantra mean to me? I'd like each of you to perhaps remember an instance when you've had a similar experience, or how you felt when that mantra was given to you. Were you a bit like me? It was like, oh, yeah, that sounds okay. Very flippant. Was such a hard person for you. Oh dear, 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 those were the days. But before we break up into groups, which is our normal procedure for workshops, and I think it works very, very well, I would like to just have a few minutes of reflection, just to quietly reflect on your own. You can nominate a group leader, if you usually do. And if you can just share your experiences with each other. Just me. I'll be roaming. Tulsi and I roam.
Experience that I was going through,
Do you remember how you felt?
I find it hard adding more than what I read in the essays.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure how to work on this. So then again,
When I first did yoga, Smart friend that did the yoga class, and that friend wasn't sort of saying something, vibration was coming out straight away. I knew that it was a
an infection of operatives and the spiking temperatures. I was migraine, I didn't believe it. It was horrible. I can even remember putting the blanket up over the sheet up over my face so I could light, but of course my kids came in for me.
And when the vibration came in the thinking, seven that thinking,
And even
the sound was it is, but taking into consideration that now I have a bit more of understanding because I do I will be at least somewhat refreshed. And then sometimes it will be
Our group all thought that when we received our mantra, we had two main emotions. One was feeling overawed by it, and the other one was feeling unworthy, that there was that, I don't know how else to explain it, that we didn't feel that we deserved it, and maybe it was just the vibration really clashed against our rawness, or our sort of ego-ness, if you like. We all as a group tended to use the mantra more as a protection or to help us. We were much more likely to be reminded of our mantra during periods of stress than during normal everyday life experience, and we thought that that was probably a bad thing. It's good that we remembered to use our mantra, but that we needed to develop, as a group, we needed to develop routines to remind us of our mantra when we're happy, and so or just experiencing life. So as a different strategies people had adopted was that was used first thing of a morning, that was part of their waking routine, which I thought was fantastic because my mind doesn't work that flash first thing of the morning, it takes a while. So first thing of the morning, in another time where people commonly used it was in the shower, that hop in the shower, remember your mantra. But we, as a group, we decided that we didn't use it often enough. Oh, and another thing that was interesting was that Shanti used it in her mind when she was trying to calm her daughter of an evening to get her to go to sleep, and found that if she remembered to use her mantra, the strength of the mantra seemed to have a calming effect on her daughter. So it may imply that if we use it, it could actually have a beneficial effect on the people around us. It does certainly did for Shanti's daughter. Some of us used it in the middle of the day to refresh ourselves for the rest of the day, so have lunch and a period of quiet reflection, and that most of us used it as part of our going to sleep at night routine.
Someone said to focus, to settle myself, vehicle to get me to more equilibrium. Swami's energy comes through the mantra, feel honoured, connection to Swami, helps to get to sleep at night. We're the instrument of the mantra. That means we have to surrender. It's how Swami keeps her connection with us too. Swami tunes into us.
Therefore, before the mantra is given to anyone, the Guru must offer their life force. Did you realise that? Did any of you think how often, and I mean a lot of you talk about Muktananda, how often he was ill after bestowing mantras? Before and after? Didn't it enter any of your head? The mantra is when someone comes for the mantra or for initiation. That means that at that point in time in their evolution, now is the chance for them to come into the vibration of a guru, or what we would say in yogic language is that you cannot progress further. So for that progress further progression, they must receive the aids to get them there. Now, what happens is, in lineage law, the personification of the lineage must suffer a certain amount for the person who comes, because you can't just come in and say, okay, give us the mantra, I'm right, see you later, I'm off. It doesn't get done like that. Some of you got the most weirdest ideas. Those of you who are with me more often and who, when I'm at somewhere will come and be with me, you get to understand more of what goes on. But what happens is that the guru must take a certain amount of karma to enable you to be more refined, so it's speeding up. Then what they do, the mantra is part of their life force. It must come from the guru's life force and enter into, it's made like a vibration and it enters through the heart chakra of the initiate. Now, let me tell you that no other guru can take a mantra and no other guru can have the power. Because before it's all organized, we have to see where, if you've been getting a mantra from somebody else. And sometimes if you have, I won't take you on. I'll say, no, you better go back to wherever you come from. Because people who do that are not worth my effort, to be quite honest. I had someone like that who came to me, and because for my love of Muktananda as a very, very wonderful guru and preceptor, I got her off drugs twice. And then she came and said to me, I'm back on drugs again for some reason, but you're not a very good guru. And I thought, well, not even your guru. So I don't know where she got that. Because this so-and-so and so-and-so, Swami, is a much better guru than you, so I'll go there for everything else, but you can get me off the drugs. And I said to her, twice now I've got you off drugs. Ask your guru to get you off drugs. He can't. He's not the power to get you off drugs, and he's not your guru. And I haven't done it because I'm your guru. I've done it because of my extreme love for Muktananda. If you remember, you were initiated by him. But no other gurus can use the power of my mantras. None. No other entity in the whole of the universe can use the power of my mantras. They are extreme powerful. So let me, get that straight before we start. That using the mantra to help you to sleep is great. Now I know why I don't ever sleep. It's a misuse of the mantra. The mantra should be used to put you in a state of complete harmony with your guru and your lineage, so that when you move through your dream states into the astral state, you'll be able to come with your guru. There's not many of you that do. Mantra misuse is in the car or the shower. Why do you use it there if you don't use it other times? So what you're doing, you're using my life force to have a good shower, or my life force to be able to get a car space, and you should never be repeating it in the car, because the car is your vehicle to take you from A to B. It is not your meditation temple. If you are saying the mantra loud to yourself, the force field that is around you is the force field of your guru. So what it is, it's a force field of complete and utter love. And sometimes that is when we need that force field. And this force field enables you to grow and to realise. It's absolutely powerful. If you use the mantra and visualize yourself, you are going down a path that will probably end up in the mantra coming back home where it was born. You must, when you say the mantra, see your guru in your heart region. This vision changes as you progress and will move into the God of your choice, because that is the power of this vibration that you've been given. If you use the mantra on reflection, do you offer it first? No. Why? You think it can just be used and abused? If you're going to use it for reflection, then you've got to offer it. What you call the adjusted mantras is because you didn't take it with the same. Perhaps I thought that you were ready for it and your soul state was ready for it, but your ego probably wasn't ready for the mantra, and so therefore it was, as you began to grow, perhaps it took quite a long time, I will adjust the mantras so that they go deeper and deeper within you. The other mantras, the mantra that's bestowed upon you now you understand, is made up of the life force of the Guru. Where else is it going to come from? Where else is that vibration going to come from? I'm going to pluck it somewhere out of the sky. It has to be born as an embryo. It's a vibration. It's got to come from somewhere, so naturally it comes from the Guru's own vibration. The mantra is not bestowed. A mantra is where you think that you've read it in a book and you've got it right, or you think that you've dreamed up another mantra. That's not my life force and it's not my mantra. I personally have 4 or 5, but used at different times because this is the mysteries of my initiation. We say the mantra, Maha Mantra outwardly when we're cooking or something like that, or when we're doing something, we might want to sing it out loudly. When we do this, it's like it gets you in a disciplined state of mind, doesn't it? That's what they're for. They are not the mantras that the power of the mantra that is given on initiation is totally, totally different. These are not going to go very far deep inside you, but they will give you the ability to physically react correctly. Have I answered all of your questions that you had?
I just like to say too that when repeating the mantra for Swami, if you think you're taking her life force, if you don't repeat it, you've heard her. So you've got to keep her within your heart region and show her love, and you'll lift her up as well. Because I remember a few years ago that people were worried because they're going to hurt you and they weren't repeating the mantra. So actually show love within your heart region to her, or think about her when you're repeating, actually embracing her so that she can come through too. You've got a block.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
Yeah.
That's why you're given it, and I say it is as an embryo. You have to feed it and look after it. I remember when I was very ill and had the. This is my experience of how I experience these sort of things. I was going for. I was supposed to have got an ambulance to go from one hospital to the other, but somehow or other I ended up in a taxi with 2 drips, right? And the guy said, "Do you want me to put those things in the booth?" I thought, how is he going to put these tubes and things, computers in the boot and stick me in the back seat. It was quite sort of mind boggles, doesn't it? And I went into the Royal Melbourne Hospital and got told off because I'd come in the wrong entrance. Well, you know, I've got to get in the quickest I can. I've got all these trolleys and things, and everyone's sort of walking, holding them up, including Bob, poor fella. And I went in there, and this is a time when I know that my life force is very low, and there is a possibility of death. I'm telling you this because this is what exactly happened. This was deciding. And so then they filled me up with radioactivity and decided to give me a test. Now, they put another thing in my arm. So not only do I have 2 drips of something or other going in, I've got something else going in. And they were putting me into this, like, I think it was like some sort of radioactive tunnel thing to see if I had clots, you know, pulmonary embolism is what they were looking for. And said to me, "Oh, you look all right." Am I supposed to look, you know? And I went in there, and as they put the other thing in my arm, with the tube to more radioactivity, Bob said to me, "Repeat your mantra." And he said, "It'll be all right," because the pain was too extreme. And as they pushed me under, I had to put my arms up with all the drips going back to front, you know? Oh. It's not nice. And then my arm caught on the tunnel, and Bob had to go out, poor fella. And the fellow said to me, "Are you feeling all right?" And I said, "Yes." "How long is it going to take?" "About 20 minutes. And all of a sudden I realised at that moment that my vibration was the same as all people who were being tortured at that moment. And so I became one with all of them. So that in some way, my suffering could alleviate them. And, of course, came out of it, you know, with everyone running around like crazy people, ambulance drivers and all promptly arrived because I had 5 pulmonary embolisms. I was, you know, on death's door, so to speak. I didn't have to walk home, thank goodness. But I'm saying this without any emotional blackmail going to you, but this is what living in life is about for a yogi. You know, it was then my pain was gone. To offer it on behalf of my masters so that their pain would be alleviated. And it's something that we do for every initiation. It's something that we do all of the time. I would like to be able to pass the buck, but it's not going anywhere. So your mantras are so important because you will never receive it again. Right? Can't say, "I'll wait till the next line," or, you know, I'll wait until, you know, I'll finish this job and then I'll get on with it, or something like that. You know, what do you want? You're not going to get it again. Who do you think you are? The mantra comes sometimes, you think, from inside, because the soul is wanting the mantra, because it's the soul who evolves. You people are not the evolution part of you. It's the soul who evolves. You won't be here in the next life doing what you're doing now. Well, not unless you. I hope you're not, because I'm happy here. So you will not be Joe Blogs or whatever. You will not be the managing director. You will not have the cars that you've got now. Do you understand? You may be born penniless and never have any money throughout that whole episode. You may be born deformed. Right? So now you have the facility, you have the mentality, you have everything laid out in front of you. I can't live forever, worrying about you. And I'm probably more lenient than the other masters. Because sometimes that guru would let you wait 30 years to receive your initiation, and then he would say no.
Just out of curiosity, why was Kunti given a mantra by Maharaj?
Now you're going to find out.
It was the second or third trip to India, and I'd met Maharaj before. And we were all singing the mantra, and he asked me to go with him, and I wanted to know, I said to Swami, is that all right?
Before or after you had the argument with him in the car?
Yeah, oh, that was before that. I became quite aggressive in my attitude towards Maharaj because I did not feel for one moment that he was treating my guru as she should be treated. Sort of shoving her into this Jeep type vehicle that I could hardly climb into, let alone her with arthritis. But of course she's his disciple, and I guess I still had great difficulty. So when it came time for me to go with him, I kept it out. I was quite indignant, absolutely indignant. And I said to Swami, is that all right? Is that all right for me to go with him? And she just quietly nodded. And at the time, my attitude was aggressive towards him because I didn't feel that he was behaving justly towards my guru. I was to kneel on the temple floor, which is a stone floor, and most of you would know by now, I had great difficulty kneeling over the years. And he gave me another mantra. And my mind was saying, my knees are killing me, I'm really uncomfortable. What the hell is this he's giving me? I don't need another mantra, he's not my guru. Swami's my guru. So this is all going through my mind. None of this esteemed moment and feeling overwhelmed or anything like that. That all went straight over my head. Came back into the room and just said to them, he gave me another mantra, but it was like I had a second helping of chips or something. I had absolutely no respect for the moment whatsoever. My main concern was that I had found the guru that I loved with all my heart, and it had nothing to do with him. Not realising at that time that it had everything to do with him, because there is no difference between Maharaj and Swami. They're one. And I learnt that by the interposing of their images within my heart. When I use the mantra, sometimes Maharaj is there, and sometimes it's Swami. Sometimes it's both together, like that picture. Is it here? Yeah. That's so like it. I like it. But I don't really believe I understood why I don't know why, but at the time, apart from feeling angry and pain and all the rest of it, I didn't think he had the right. He had the right to give me a mantra. That was a right that belonged only to my guru. So it all went over my head, and poor Swami all these years. Now I believe it's to her. Had nothing to do with me. It was to help her. And I guess the night of the dinner at Sanjay's, that all led to that as well. I'm so sorry, my darling Swami.
The reason that she got the mantra was because when she was watching her working in Delhi, she would come down and say, okay, nobody else near her, she's got to have a cup of tea or she's got to have a sleep or lie down. And he said to me, she must take care of you. And I said, oh, she has a lot of taking care of other things to do. But if I need Kunti, astrally she is always there. Sometimes it's quite difficult for me to go on because normally there is a situation where it is the mother and father, teacher are together. Here I'm not like that. And one of my experiences was that once I thought I've had enough. I just can't go on anymore. And I moved all of my consciousness into my seer state. Do you know what happens when you do that? Anyone know? Yes. So I moved it all in. And I thought, thank goodness, they're all away. And I heard, Swami. I said, no, Kunti, don't come here and get me. I'm not coming. Swami, come on, where are you? No. And then finally I had to come back, bring my consciousness back astrally and say, I'm all right, I'm here. Well, as long as you're all right. Now, there you go. Can't help that. Then other times, one other time was only a few months ago, and I had known Bob in previous lives, and one very special previous life. And then I realized that it's very difficult when you are then totally alone. There's no one even, to talk to when the frustrations come. Isn't that right, Lynn? And so then I realized he was gone, and in the astral I walked slowly alone, realizing he'd gone, and who came? Kunti. And Kunti means mother, so Kunti was able to give me comfort and solace on this very, very intimate high level. That's why Maharaj gave her also another mantra so that he could be sure that she would do the job she's meant to do. And a lot of people find her very bossy. I find her very bossy. And sometimes she forgets to say her mantra. And sometimes she forgets to come to something or other. But actually, she is coming on a very different level to help me. Maharaj told me last night to make sure that you had the mantra and you hadn't forgotten it.
I always felt
Have you
that I
forgotten
wasn't
it?
saying it properly. Yeah.
Right. So now I have to give it to you again.
Yeah.
Now for both of us.
Oh, sorry.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay, stop chanting for a moment. I want everyone to visualize Ram when you sing Hare Ram, and then visualize Krishna when you sing Hare Krishna. Let's begin again. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Shiva, Omkara 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 Shiva, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai